The first vampire ever was named Dracula. He had 3 brides and many servants, but no children. For 400 years, he and his brides tried for kids, but all were stillborn. This was God's curse. One day, a witch showed up at the small castle. At her place, she made a monster from 7 bodies. Villagers feared the monster's power and wanted to burn them. Dracula gave the scientist a safe place. But when the monster came to life, Dracula showed his true colors. He killed the ghost, planning to use the monster to revive his kids. The monster ran to the mountains with the dead scientist, but villagers burned their house. The monster didn't get why they were treated this way when they hurt no one. In the end, he fell into the fire with his father, and the vampire lost hope of reviving his kids again. In those times, demons roamed, and a monster hunter appeared. His name was Van Helsing, from a group that fought evil, but he wasn't happy with his job. Many monsters were once human, and when they died, they turned back to human form. So he often ended up on wanted posters. This time, his mission was to protect the last 2 of a vampire hunter family. Garlic necklaces, holy water, and silver crosses were good against vampires. He and his helper went to the vampire hunter's town. Because vampires often showed up, the town was wary of strangers. Her name was Anna, the last vampire lover Van Helsing had to protect. She wasn't welcomed either. Then vampires suddenly attacked and took Anna. After Van Helsing saved her, he got ready to fight. The sun came up, and the vampires disappeared. They couldn't be in sunlight, but Van Helsing and Anna stayed alert. They watched the ground closely. Sure enough, clouds covered the sun, and vampires flew out, taking Anna again. Van Helsing shot a vampire's wing, saving Anna, but another vampire targeted her. Outside, Van Helsing loaded a holy arrow, hitting a vampire bride's heart, turning her to ash, and the other 2 vampires ran. Van Helsing was the first in over 100 years to kill a vampire, but the villagers weren't thankful. They blamed him for messing things up. Vampires hunted 1 or 2 people a month, and now, with the bride dead, they'd want revenge. At night, a werewolf showed up in town. Van Helsing chased it, but Anna stopped him. The werewolf was Anna's brother. Not long ago, her brother was bitten by a werewolf while protecting her. Her brother was her last family, and Anna believed there was a cure to turn him back to normal. Van Helsing was moved. They followed the werewolf to a castle. Inside, the werewolf turned back to human. Then Dracula appeared. Her brother had been under Dracula's control since becoming a werewolf. Today, he realized Dracula had tricked him. Their father, missing for a year, was one of Dracula's undead. The experiment started, and vampire servants tied him to the table and electrified him. Anna and Van Helsing entered the castle. Inside, there were nests filled with dead vampire offspring. In the castle, nests were filled with young ones. These were all vampire offspring. Suddenly, a hand shot out, and a vampire baby revived. Thousands of newborn vampires flew to meet Count Dracula. The first lesson of being a vampire was hunting. 2 brides led the vampire babies towards the sunrise. The small town became the vampires' feeding ground. In the castle, Van Helsing started killing vampires one by one, finally angering the Count. Van Helsing drove a silver stake into the Count's heart, but the Count laughed. Silver stakes and crosses couldn't hurt him. As the original vampire, the Count fears no holy relics. At this moment, the vampire bride came crying. The little vampires all died holding ghosts. It turns out the energy from the werewolves couldn't protect the vampires. They took the chance to escape. He took Anna and fled the castle. The werewolf on the experiment rack was also released by Anna. But this time, Anna gave up. His brother had turned into a werewolf, becoming a lackey of the vampires. While escaping, they fell into a pit. In this hidden cave, they found a monster. It was a monster resurrected by the scientist using body parts. He seemed filled with hatred for humans. Anna was attacked. The monster never did wrong, yet was scorned by humans and hunted by vampires. Is it really so hard to survive? Van Helsing realized the monster was the life elixir for the scientists' bodies. Only his energy could give life to the vampire offspring. Anna wanted to kill him to prevent future troubles. Van Helsing stopped this creature, whose heart was never evil, and only he could help find a way to kill Count Dracula. But their conversation was overheard by a trailing werewolf. Dracula would surely take the monster back for experiments. Without delay, Van Helsing and Anna drove a carriage to hide the monster in Rome. On the way, they were ambushed by Shixiu. Ahead was a broken bridge. Van Helsing followed the horses across the bridge, but the carriage with the monster fell off the cliff. The bride chased after it, grabbed the carriage, but found no one inside. The bride realized it was a trap. The carriage was filled with explosives. She tried to escape, but it was too late. The carriage fell to the bottom of the cliff and exploded. The explosion pierced her heart, killing another vampire bride. Van Helsing quickly regrouped with the real team, but the werewolves soon caught up. In the flames, Van Helsing killed the werewolf. Before dying, the werewolf turned back into a human and remembered all his emotions. He apologized to Anna, then closed his eyes. Anna cried out in pain. He blamed Van Helsing, but then saw he was bitten by a werewolf. Anna couldn't believe it. The last vampire bride took the chance to capture Anna. He left a message. Exchange the monster for Anna. Van Helsing didn't want to do it, so he knocked out the monster and went to the ball alone. At the ball, the Count changed his mind. He wanted to turn Anna into a vampire, making her his bride. Just as he was about to bite, Van Helsing swooped down and took Anna away. But he still made a mistake. The monster was captured by the Count's men. At this moment, everyone at the masquerade opened their mouths and grew fangs. They were all vampires. With so many obstacles, Van Helsing could only watch the monster being taken away. He vowed that the first vampire was originally human, who signed a pact with a demon out of resentment when dying, sustaining life through blood, becoming an immortal monster. His family, to atone to God, became vampire lovers, aiming to eradicate vampires for generations. Only by killing Count Dracula could the entire family be redeemed. Dracula's father couldn't kill his own son, so he banished him to a frozen land through a door that couldn't be opened. Van Helsing needed to find that door to see the Count again. He took out a fragment from the organization, which perfectly matched the mural in front of him. The mural turned into a mirror. Van Helsing tested it with his hand, which passed through the mirror. It was cold. This was the door he was looking for. He walked in. Anna and her assistant followed closely. They finally reached the vampire castle. The monster was trapped in ice. Van Helsing wanted to free him, but there were railings all around. The monster said the Count had a cure for the werewolf curse. Turns out, werewolves and vampires are natural enemies. Only werewolves can defeat vampires. Vampires have always controlled werewolves. If a werewolf betrays him, he uses this cure to turn them human. They quickly thought of a plan. Everyone split into two groups. Anna and her assistant went for the cure. Van Helsing went for the Count. When the full moon rises, Van Helsing will turn into a werewolf. Only then can he kill the Count. Anna must inject him with the cure before midnight. Then the monster will be sent to the lab table, and the vampire will electrify him. Van Helsing found this monster and unlocked his chains. But before he finished, the monster started getting electrified. The vampire baby was revived. Meanwhile, Anna found the cure but was cursed by the vampire bride. Anna let her assistant run with the cure while she was nearly killed. Then the monster broke free and saved Anna by knocking down the bride. To repay them, the monster stayed to fight the bride, letting them save Van Helsing. But the bride quickly escaped. Anna was captured again. The bride wanted Anna's youth and beauty to drain her blood. But this time, Anna found a chance to fight back. The assistant brought a stake, and she stabbed it into the bride's heart. Meanwhile, Van Helsing faced the Count. The full moon rose, and he turned into a wolf. After a fierce battle, he killed the Count. At the same time, all the vampire treasures were destroyed. Almost midnight, Anna found Van Helsing. But werewolves are emotionless. He grabbed Anna and attacked the Count. At the same time, Anna injected the cure into him. Van Helsing turned human, but Anna died. After it all, Van Helsing said goodbye to Anna by the sea. Anna always wanted to visit the sea, but never had the chance. And the monster sailed away to a distant land. He just wanted to live well. In a daze, Van Helsing seemed to see Anna again. He finally reunited with his brother. Their family could finally go to heaven, and Van Helsing would continue to fight evil